Hyvää päivää. Or maybe even oikein hyvää päivää. These are Finnish language words means good day or really good day. I also like to say ni hao. I appreciate the possibility to be here and have a small keynote speech about cornerstones in Finnish education. What are the cornerstones? It's something where you can build the whole building. And I have worked as a teacher in all possible levels in Finnish education system. I also have 2 sons who have gone through the Finnish education system. In fact, even if I'm only 56 years old, I have lots of experiences about all the levels in Finnish education. As a parent, as a teacher trainer, and nowadays also as a head of continuous education in our university, Tampere University of Applied Sciences. In fact, I'm quite lucky. I say that I'm a lucky guy because I have had a possibility to see how the whole education system has changed during my years as a teacher, during my years as a parent, and during my years as a teacher trainer. Finland is a country with 5.5 million inhabitants. It's quite young country. We get our independence 1917, so it means that we are 103 years old country. Because of the number of the inhabitants and because of the decision making which is quite easy, we have a possibility to change quite rapidly our systems, also education system. Tampere University of Applied Sciences is the huge university in Finnish scale. We have a little bit more than 10,000 students in sectors of engineering, nursing, vocational teacher trainer, training apartment, and so on. The branches we are working are mostly related to work life. The teacher trainers, the teacher training in our university is also very well related to real life and real teachers who are working in real life situations in vocational training. We also educate, train vocational career counselors and special education teachers. It means that we also have in our university quite a wide range of different type of teachers trained by us. It's about how the concept of learning and teaching has changed. When I graduated as a teacher 1988, I think that okay, now I'm ready. I have a license to teach. And at the same time I recognized that okay, after a couple of years as a teacher, I recognized that I don't know so much about teaching. Why? Because I was not so ready to face all those differentiation between the students. The diversity of the learners, it was quite a surprise to me. And then I recognized also, and I learned that how to become a best possible educator is that take a deeper insight the diversity of the learners. And at the same time we have in basic education, in vocational training in Finland, and also in higher education, we started a movement that our education system became step by step more like competence-based. And now we call almost all our education levels a bit like competence-based. And first we have to describe what is learning, where it happens, and why we need very well-structured and efficient and well-functioning education system. Because we still have poverty in our world, not in Finland anymore. We are one of the wealthiest or well-being country in the world, but it hasn't been so always. Our society and education system, like hand in hand, they start to improve more and more after Second World War. And during this about 50-60 years, with the wise decision making and good education system, we had become a welfare country like we are known today. The poverty we still have, and we need a good and functioning education system to solve the problems of poverty in the world. Also pollution. The educational demand is to how to create the technology which can really prevent that situation in pollution can be worse and worse year after year. And the plastic in the oceans, what kind of solutions we have. We want to be more like part of the solution than part of the problem. And that means that we have to be more aware. Our children have to be more aware than we were when we were children about pollution, about war, about violence, how to solve those global problems by using the cooperation between nations and between the people around the globe. We need technological solutions, and we also need, in my opinion, we also need this kind of shared idea. It's just a shared understanding that how we can use our mobile works, how can we use our different platforms for solving our common problems. In schools, I have used this picture about these paint cans. That usually we think that our education system is divided in small parts like subjects or contents. But the world is not divided in subject. The world is just a holistic thing. And to find out what is the real meaning of the education system is that we have to think about our whole world as a system theoretical process. And also education. It have to be multidisciplinary, that you can use, for example, technological solutions in arts, in medical things, in landscaping, whatever. And it means that with those multidisciplinary things are more valuable for our development than just one task. Mathematics, for example, or languages, they are good tools, but they are not objectives by themselves. They are part of the bigger things. For example, critical thinking. How to use mathematics, how to use languages, how to use different subjects for improve your critical thinking and become more critical thinker who know what is really wrong and what is right, the truth and false. If you can ask from your student something like, can you build the house? Can you build the house? This is also a question I want to ask from you. Can you build a house? And after that you have to ask yourself, what do you mean by house? We have a different ideas of house. And maybe I, as a teacher, I have in my mind picture of house like that, nice building, warm, safe, and so on. And the student's idea of the house is totally different. It can be a small hut in the forest or something like not so fancy, not so nice, but something you can go like a shelter. You can step in. But so it means that in competence-based education, you have to first describe the house. What is the house? What do you mean by the house? What is the objective? What is the bigger vision of our education? How to create something in a changing world. The quickness of the change is also good discussion topic. Do you remember how the world was when you were young? Can you imagine what might happen after 20 years? What will be our future? What will be the education in the future look like? Oh, do we have some flying cars and whatever we have? It's a question about our illustration. How can we think? But we know that technology is changing. And I have heard that maybe it's also a good guess that maybe after 20 years or maybe after 10 years we have 80% more this kind of technology we don't know yet. And at the same time, our education became older and older. Most of the people, our people are getting older. It means that their education is older than 10 years. It means at the same time we have lots of new technology and we have lots of outdated education. So it's a big challenge for our continuous education models. It means that we have to offer in-service training, we have to take care of our workforce that they get updated information for the future. This is also a big challenge for our education system. If we only do what we have always done, we get what we always got. So it's something that it's not improve, it's not enough. We have to take a look to the future. We are working with the future. We are working for the future. New learning is something more innovation. It should be attractive. It have to engage the students and teachers. It have to be designed elegantly. That it's something that is attract you as a learner. Yeah, you can use your prior competencies for the future. It have to be ubiquitous, that wherever you are, the learning can take place. Whenever it's possible, wherever it's possible. It means that we have to go back with this, for example, this industrial 4.0. That the internet, for example, is plugged in our everyday using things like clothes and so on. It means that we are part of this whole huge web, all of us, and still stay as a human beings inside the technology. It have to be somehow allied to real life problems. The spray and pray is not the way anymore. I have used this kind of idiom. I will tell you a bit about that later. The real life problems. You know how fast the thing happens. This old curve about innovations in this slide. And for example, when we invent a car, it takes about 60 years that cars became very common, that everybody can buy a car. For radio, it takes about 30 years, that everybody can buy a radio. Internet, it took about 15 years that everybody has an internet. And now we have it all over, in our pockets, in our machines, in our cameras, in wherever. And even our frigidaire and ovens we have internet, wash machines, and cars. And the social media, it took about 7 years and everybody was using some kind of social media, Facebook, and this application we are using all over, WeChat, social media. And the industry 4.0, it happens in months, sometimes even in weeks. okay, now we invite something and it will spread all over. What is changing? Really? The technology is changing a lot, we know. But we are still about the same human beings we have been for a couple of thousand years, 10,000 years, 20,000 years. Human beings like Homo sapiens. And our brains are quite similar than those cavemen had. And still something changed, the environment. It means also that education have to be also changed with the environment. And it's also changing the environment. And teachers are the change agents. What I have done by myself is something I learn. Some skills for the future I'm interested in, I learn. But if the learning has taken any place in my real life, I don't need it. If I have a feeling that I don't need it, it's for the other guys. It's not for me. But if I can align my own learning process to my real life situations, it's working. It makes it more attractive. It's based on my competencies, my prior competencies, and it will give me the competencies I can survive for the future. In Finland, the milestones of our education is in our welfare society. Because our society is based on trust. And the trust is something which is the base also of the competence-based education. That you can show your prior competencies and you can make your individual plan with your teachers that what kind of competencies I need to achieve that I'm qualified, or I can qualify from the university or vocational training. The society based on trust. The education system based on free public education. In Finland it's free for everyone. This is one of the cornerstones. No matter of your background, the education is free. It's about your brains, about your skills, how to use your skills and how to achieve the competencies needed. Inside the school, of course, the school level, the teachers are very well educated. This is one of cornerstone as well. Teachers has high autonomy. They can make a decision how they teach and how they assess. And in curriculum, it's only say that the what things, what are the contents, but they are very small sentences in our curriculum. The teachers has pedagogical and didactic freedom. And inside the classroom practices, the learning and teaching and coaching and counseling in the classrooms are based on science. The normal matriculation process of the students, the learners. It's student-centered. Students are in focus. Learner-centered is equality. It means that everybody has the same rights. The students are trusted, and it means that they have to carry their own responsibility. And we are encouraging them to cooperate. Learning happens when the trust, belonging, and creativity are working together in the learning process. And the learners and the teachers are using feedback. They are using the feedback not only like critical feedback, but also this encouraging, okay, you are doing well and you can use your competencies. This is a small things for you that you can assess yourself if you have made some assignment, and you can assess yourself how well you can listen to others' ideas, make suggestions, make compromises, encourage the others, and access your own actions, and assess your peers' actions. This is more like assess for you, self-assessment. The competencies. They are bigger things than just criteria. If the competence is, for example, to survive in the jungle, it means that you have to have some kind of criteria. What is surviving in the jungle? Maybe something that you can name your enemies, and you know what to eat or what not to eat. Or I know how to hide from the beasts. And it means that, okay, the competence is something, it's survival competence, but it can be divided to the objectives. And these objectives can be assessed by criteria. The criteria come, for example, how fast you can run, or what is your reaction time. They can count it with the clock and so on. But it's also a question about how to survive in jungle. You remember, can you build a house? What are the small things which make the house the house? In good old organization-based learning, the group of students will be stuck, pushed in the same tube, and after maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they came out from the other side of the tube as ready professionals. Okay, same program to everyone, same equipment, same schedule for everyone. It means that, okay, it's working. But there's some disturbances, disturb me. Disturb the prior competencies. They are different for the different students. They have different speed of learning. Some of them have difficulties in learning. Some of them have different life situations. It means that the whole learning process is more than just the tube. You have to think about what is the formal learning process organized. What is the non-formal learning, what happens all over? And what is the informal learning, what happens, for example, in hobbies and everyday life and work? And the prior competencies are more than just step into the university, step into the vocational training and go through the tube. In Finnish vocational education training, all the students do their own personal competence development plan, PCDP. It's personalization, custom-centered. The customer center is if the student is customer. It means that the whole school, teachers, workplaces where this on-the-job learning takes place, they have to cooperate all the time. They have to think about what are the special needs and how the student, him or herself, can follow his or her own PCDP. It's flexible. It doesn't mean that you have to stay 3 years in vocational training. If you have prior competencies already, you can make your qualification in 1 year, 1.5, 2, 3. If you don't have prior competencies, you can even spend more time. It's flexible. It's documented. And if you think about what does it mean, the pedagogical thinking, competence-based education, it requires. It has to be the competence-based. What are the real competencies? How to personalize the learning process? How to integrate the competencies to work life? How to be flexible? And how to integrate the learning process into the on-the-job learning, for example, and how to separate the learning from the competence. Learning is a process and competence is like a goal. There's some critics as well. How about the deep learning in competence-based education? How about the time? How about the really understanding of innovations, creating, and so on? The messy interpretation, the different meanings for the competencies, who is the one who said what are really the competencies, and so on. Some critics, of course, but it works if the students get his or her own interest. The question, can you build a house? It means, can you build a house by using the small Lego bricks? This is a Lego house and Lego bricks. So if you think about the one course in vocational training, for example, is a piece of Legos. And your aim is to build the Lego house. You have to know that the pieces of my studies are piece of my house, not the piece which is assessed by themselves as a one small piece. And it's part of the holistic idea of the house. It means that first you have to know the goal. Then you have to go to the prior competencies students already have. After that, you have to describe what more has to be learned to become a professional. And what is your life situation? What is your academic skills? Maybe some difficulties in learning. And after that, you can make your personalized personal study plan, individual plan for your studies. And all those A's in this picture is something you can assess. Assessed in versatile ways, not only by giving some paper, pencil tests, but demonstrations, videos, recording, whatever needed for assessment, peer assessment, self-assessment, and study then. In my opinion, spray and pray, it's not the way anymore. I mean that if you are as an educator and you step into the classroom and you have a can of wisdom in your can and you spray to the classroom, it's spraying. And after classes you pray that at least some of the drops hit somebody's head. It's not this day anymore. Less teaching, more learning. It's not only teacher who knows the answers. It's not the teacher who have a kind of golden magic wand that you can give the wisdom. But turn your face to the student. Keep your mouth shut, eyes open and ears open. I call it pedagogical love. Just in November, European Union gave in Osnabrück Declaration of Vocational Education, and these 4 things are the goals for vocational training in Europe. Resilience for the situations. Lifelong learning culture, also allied to digitalization. Sustainability, how we can tackle all these things. I show you first that the pollution, war, these COVID things and things like that. How to create a sustainable education system to create the students to sustainable life. We are not working for today. The whole things, even the Industrial 4.0 is facing the future, but we don't know where the future is and what it looks like. There's always something unpredictable things you are not waiting for, which are waiting in the just behind the corner. Something happens always, but with the resilience we can tackle them as well. Thank you so much for your interest. That's all I want to say about that. I hope that we'll keep in touch. Thank you.